Okay, I'm here with Bridget Lynch, graduate of Hopkinton High School and went on to play sports in college. When she was doing fall sports at Hopkinton, she did field hockey in the fall. So can you tell us about the freshman year?
Yeah, freshman year was pretty busy for me because I was doing field hockey in the fall and club hockey as well for the Wildcats. And so I would go to practices and then straight from practice would go to hockey and do like homework, eat in the car, that kind of stuff. And then come back, get ready for school the next day. And so that was super busy. I really liked it though. It was kind of weird transitioning from field hockey to hockey in the middle of the day because for field hockey you have to be a righty because they don't make lefty sticks, but for hockey I've been a lefty my entire life.
Oh,
So that was a little odd. Um, but the first season was fun. I was on JV and it was just a great time. The difference between middle school and high school wasn't as bad as I think I was expecting because I'd heard it was super bad and I was a little nervous. But then I went there and it was fine. My running time was abysmal. It was so terrible. But other than that, it was really great. I think the team we had on JV was awesome. We didn't interact too much with varsity, but they did really well that year. Um, yeah.
so sophomore, the team went and won second place, fell in the just short in the state championship. What was that season like?
That season, it was pretty similar for me as freshman year, so I was still on JV, but I know I had a lot more friends on varsity that year just because we had a lot more sophomores on the team. I remember Emma Torek was on the team that year, and so went to like all the varsity stuff to support her. It was nice seeing them make it so far. It was kind of a bummer that they didn't win,
Yeah.
but it happens. They did really well. They played super hard, and JV was just as fun as the year before.
All right, junior year.
Junior year was a little bit messy for me. I tried out for the team. I made JV, which I wasn't thrilled about. And then I was also I'd been doing summer hockey. So I had gone to a prospect camp at Brown.
Mhm.
And my summer hockey season, I did it with Stark. And I started that the summer after freshman year to like get ready for my sophomore season. And then I did it junior year too. And so our championship game for my summer league was on the last day of tryouts. And I thought I was making varsity, so I didn't go to the championship game and they won. So good for them. I was really happy to hear that because we had done amazing that whole summer. And then I made JV and then I went to the Brown prospect camp and that was going really well too. And then I got injured doing we were doing like a hip exercise for mobility and I pulled my labrum and then I was on crutches for 3 weeks and found out I needed surgery. So I missed out on the whole field hockey season and I didn't end up getting my surgery because I didn't want to miss the hockey season. And so I was out for the whole field hockey season and then ended up not getting the surgery anyway.
All right, that's too bad. Uh,
Thanks, Drew.
senior year.
Senior year, I didn't play either because after my hockey season, I was like, no, I really do need this surgery because I was having trouble walking. So I was like, maybe it's time to get this fixed. And so I got the surgery, but because of COVID, it got delayed and delayed. And I ended up getting it like a month before the season started, maybe 2 months before the season started. So I wasn't able to play it all, which was a bummer because it was my senior year. But
Yeah.
I still went to some of the games and still supported the team. I still had a lot of friends on the team. Just didn't
So you still got the experience though. I mean,
yeah.
of just having like friendships and stuff. So I think that's definitely a positive thing for sure. Transitioning to winter. You played hockey in the winter, and interestingly enough, you were a girl on an all
Mm-hmm.
boys team.
I was the only one.
What was that like?
It was definitely a fun time. It was never a dull moment. I know some of the games would like they wouldn't let me into a rink once because they didn't believe I was on the team, which was but the team I was on was pretty great. Like the coaches were amazing.
Mhm.
They were super supportive. They made sure I was allowed into the rink without having to pay. It was nice. That was nice of them. But yeah, it was definitely a big change going from my club girls team to a high school men's team.
Mhm.
And it wasn't just like any high school men's team. Like we were pretty good. So it was a little bit of like a shock with that transition. But I'm really glad I did it. I think that's probably one of the best decisions I've made was joining that team.
When you joined that team, your sophomore year, you won a state championship in 2019.
Oh yeah. I remember that. I wasn't on the ice for that. We had so many kids on the team that year that we didn't not everyone could dress. It was my first year on the team. So me and I think it was five other kids weren't dressing. And so we just watched the game and it was an amazing game. We went the whole game with no one scoring. And then at like the last minute, Paul Molnar scored a goal and it was insane. And so we all threw on our gear, those of us watching. That way we could go out on the ice for like the picture and the celebration and stuff. And it was unlike anything else ever. It was amazing, especially because it was my first year on the team. Everyone was so hyped, and they had won the year before,
Yeah.
and so they were back to back, and it was amazing.
Junior year, had that injury.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I played anyway. My my doctor said that it would be damaged more, but not like unfixable if I kept playing. So I figured, why not? Like
yeah.
it was gonna be an issue either way. So I kept playing, and then at the end of the season, I scheduled my surgery, and it kept getting bumped back. But after my surgeon was like, maybe next time get the surgery first because I had torn it so bad that it almost completely detached from my hip.
Oh,
And so he had to do like twice as many sutures inside my hip, and the surgery took twice as long. And he was like, no, man, like you destroyed your hip, but it's better now, so it's fine.
all right. Senior year, we had the COVID, and you spoke at the town meeting.
Hmm.
Whether they were trying to decide whether they should have a season or not. What was that like, and how'd you prepare for that?
Um, well, the speaking at the town meeting was kind of on a whim. I was watching the meeting. I was like, they're leaning towards not having a season. And I definitely wanted to play. I just had this surgery. I was fresh off it. I got cleared a week before the season started. So I was really wanted to have a season, especially on my senior year. Like I knew we weren't going to do nearly as well as we
Yeah.
had in past years because the year before we went all the way to the semifinals, but I still wanted to play. And a bunch of us spoke. I think I might be wrong on this, but I think Ethan Molnar spoke. Tyler Scordo spoke. I think someone else spoke, but I don't remember who. But and a lot of other athletes for other teams spoke too. And we ended up convincing them that we were passionate about it. We really wanted a season. And so we got a season, which was great. And then we played, I think it was 5 games, something like that. And we didn't do too well. I think we won one.
Yep, 1-4.
Mm-hmm. Technically, we made it to the playoffs just because of how few games and how few teams there were, but we didn't make it too far. But it was a good time.
All right. In the spring, you played lacrosse.
Yep, all 4 years. Because the year for my surgery, when I was waiting for it to get scheduled, we were remote completely. So I could just run on my own time, like just do passing and stuff in the yard. But yeah, freshman year was great. We were JV, and that was probably the most fun I've ever had on a JV team. It was so fun. And then sophomore year, JV again, but I think that was the year they won
Yeah.
the champs.
So varsity got runners up in 2018, which would have been your freshman year,
Mhm.
and state champs in 2019, which was
Yeah.
your sophomore year. Junior year,
Junior year was good. Yeah, I'm trying to remember junior year. Um, Yeah, that was the year that we were remote, was junior year.
Yeah,
And then
2020, the season got canceled.
which was a bummer, but
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody went through it. I went through it
yeah.
with baseball, so a lot of people experienced it with spring sports. Senior year, 2021, went to the championship, loss, but still pretty good season overall.
Yeah, that championship game was insane. We got rain delayed for what felt like forever, with in overtime, like 10 minutes left in the game. We were playing Dairy Field, and it was, oh man, just thinking about it. And we went back after a rain delay, which was like over an hour, and finished the last 10 minutes, and we lost. It was devastating. But going back this year, I went to the championship game and they won, and it was awesome. They didn't play Dairy Field, but
So those last 10 minutes, after the rain delay, was it tied at the rain delay? And then,
and then it wasn't tied anymore after the rain delay.
so yeah, but still going out as one of the top two teams in the state, not bad. So what's your advice to, other people who might want to try something like this, like in terms of fighting through injury and then like, being the only girl on an all boys team? Do you have any advice for younger people out there?
I would say if you're thinking about doing something challenging like that, like, go for it. Especially, well, you wouldn't be thinking about doing an injury, but if you had an injury, I don't think you plan on getting injured, but when you are injured, like just stick with it. I think just being patient with yourself is important, because I started going back a little too early. I think I went a little too hard, and it just it kind of set me back a little bit more. I think just being patient and giving yourself time to heal is super important. And maybe get the surgery when you find out you need it instead of after a whole season of
Yeah.
hockey.
So you graduated and then you went on to college studying
Mhm.
fisheries and wildlife. So, tell us about college and like the, optimism you had going in.
But yeah. So Paul Smith's, I was recruited to play for the hockey team there. They were the varsity team. They were supposed to go D3 in like the next year or so before I graduated, which was awesome because I really wanted to play hockey in college. And there was kind of a break for me in between high school and college where I was like, I really want to get serious about my athletics. Before, I loved playing, I loved field hockey, hockey and lacrosse. But I was doing it more for fun. I think going to college, I was like, no, I want to be good. I want to like train more. I want to get in shape and do the best I can and make the most of this opportunity. And so I did. Going into Paul Smith's, I was in probably the best shape of my life. I'd worked out that whole summer. I hit a bunch of like PRs workout wise, and then went to Paul Smith's. And the first week was great. We all called it like a summer camp because there was the lake. We all went swimming.
Yeah.
There's this really nice gym we kept going to. The food was about summer camp level. It wasn't great, but it was tolerable. And so it was all fun and games. And then the season started and we had a lot of issues as a team. We had interventions for our team because it was so bad. And then we found out that anyone under the age of 18 couldn't play. And there was 3 of us. And so me and another girl who came from Canada to play for this team, we could not play. Well, 2 of them were from Canada. One of them was able to play in the first semester. Her birthday was in, I say, the beginning of December.
Okay.
So she missed most of the first semester, but she played some of it. Then me and the other girl, our birthdays weren't until the second semester. And then we had a 4th girl, her birthday was like the beginning of October. So she missed like a week of games because we still practiced with the team, even though I don't think we were supposed to.
So that would have been good to know in advance.
Yeah, that would have been a little nice to know
So
in advance.
you were optimistic and you thought it was going well and then it
Oh,
wasn't.
yeah.
And
then it
now
was, and then our coach got fired. And then and then our dorm kept lighting on fire. So it was quite a time at Paul Smith's. I probably wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but if you're looking for like a Twilight Zone experience, that's the place to be.
I want to hear more about this. You were talking about the cursed freshman dorms.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we had one dorm called Livermore, and we called it liver mold because they had a black mold, like what would you call it? Like an infestation, I
Yeah.
guess. And people were getting sick from it, and it wasn't passing code, and people had like if their stuff got wet, like their towels were getting mold and their shoes, and it was a whole problem. And then my dorm was Courier, and we were like right next door to liver mold, and we had a spontaneous combustion problem. So if someone like plugged something in, we had faulty electrical, is what the school told us. And so we'd plug something in, and it would like short out, and then the building would light on fire. Which I feel bad laughing about it because it's terrible, because I know it still happened the second semester. The first day back, second semester, I wasn't there, but I had friends posting on their stories 1 in the morning outside because the building got on fire. We had one kid in the laundry room. Well, it was like 5 in the morning. He was doing his laundry. I don't know if he got up early or if he was up super late, but I was pretty close friends with him. And the fire alarm went off and the safety doors closed, blocking him off from his room. But he wasn't wearing any shoes. And it was December in the Adirondacks, and he was out in like a foot of snow with socks on. I've never seen someone so uncomfortable. It was terrible. What a time.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So, oh, sorry. What a heck of a time there, I guess. So there was that. Was there any crazy vehicle accidents
Oh
or?
yeah, there was a couple crazy vehicle accidents. Shout out to Holly because she was in two. I was only in one. I was in a car accident and I ended up getting a concussion and I was out for like 2 weeks. I didn't even practice. And I think it was after that that I kind of started like falling out with the team. I didn't end up finishing the semester with the team. I had some words with the coach right before he was fired, and basically told him I was no longer going to be a part of the team and that I was leaving the school and I wasn't interested in staying in touch.
Mm.
And then Holly was in a second car accident. I think it was less than a week after the first one. So she was gone for a while, which made it even worse because she was probably the person I was closest with on campus. Well, not probably, definitely. And so she was gone, and I wasn't playing hockey, and our building kept lighting on fire. Oh my goodness. It was such an experience. It was unlike anything. But then I transferred, and I think it made me appreciate the school I was at a lot more. Like people would complain about something, and I'm like, yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that sucks. But I feel like I was able to think about what had happened at Paul Smith and
Mhm.
made me realize that it wasn't as bad as someone who'd only been going to UNE.
Yeah. So UNE, why'd you choose to go there?
Well, I'd looked at it before and I'd applied there. And when I was going through schools, I wanted to pick a school that had a lot of majors
Yeah.
because I thought about switching my major. I went there when I transferred, I switched to applied exercise science so I could be a physical therapist. And I ended up changing that like 5 times before where I'm at now. And that's really one of the main reasons I went to UNE was that way I could change it so many
Mhm.
times. I kind of pigeonholed myself at Paul Smith because it was all environmental. So we had like environmental science, fisheries and wildlife science. We had like a forestry major,
Mhm.
and there wasn't a lot else there. So when I transferred, I wanted to go into medicine. I was switching between applied exercise science and osteopathic medicine, and then ended up settling down for environmental science, which was a kind of just back to where I was before, and figured I'd hang there while I figured out what I really wanted before I made a big change. And then I started double majoring in communications, and I was thinking of being a wildlife journalist, and I was going to minor in writing. And now, as of this major of the month, is animal behavior with a focus on pre-vet with the intention to go to grad school.
All right. Well, I mean, you might have changed it up a bit, but like you still have like some of the same interest, it seems, with like, I don't know, something with communications and like talking to people and also like the environment.
Yeah, I was looking at sticking with the environment like animals. I knew I wanted to, which is why I think I didn't end up going down the medicine route. And then like, oh, I know, I'll do pre-vet because that's kind of two birds, one stone.
So you had club hockey there. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, that team was great. I'm I think the recruitment chair for that team right now. We didn't play a whole ton in the second semester while I was there. We had a lot of practices though. We practiced twice a week, and we're in the same division as Paul Smith's was. So got a little bit more distance from Paul Smith's, but same level of hockey. All the girls are amazing. We done a bunch of fundraisers together. It's just a really good time. We are hoping to get a little bit more serious this coming season and do like we have gym time. We have a varsity gym at UNE, and you can schedule times for your team. So all the varsity teams get multiple times a week, and club teams can get one time a week. So we started doing that at the end of the season and doing more off ice stuff, more team bonding. I think we're gonna be doing a lot better next year. I think it's gonna go a good direction for
That's
us.
good. And something else, rugby.
Rugby, yeah, that was a bit of a change. That was a bunch of girls on the club hockey team played rugby, and they were all super nice. And I was so desperate to meet new people. They're like, "Let's play. You guys should play rugby." And I was like, "Okay." And I don't know if they were really expecting it to go down like that, but I did, and I joined the rugby team, and now I'm hooked. The team atmosphere is incredible. Apparently, hitting people really lets you get out aggression because they are the nicest girls I've ever met. It's insane, and they're all really good too. Our team's pretty good. We've won. I think it was this past fall before I transferred there. They were runners up in the championship game for their league, and we're full D3, so they're collegiate level, and they're really good. So I think I was able to learn really quickly too on the sevens team, because in the spring for rugby, you do tournaments and there's 7 people on a team. In the fall, it's 15s and it's just one game, and they're incredibly long. And I haven't done that yet, but I'm looking forward to it because it's a little bit more structured in your play, where sevens is kind of like get the ball, run it, try to score. I didn't really know what was going on. I've never played rugby before. It was kind of a trial by fire.
So you had to watch like a little tutorial.
Oh yeah, my parents bought the How to Play Rugby for Dummies book. I'm not even kidding. They really did. And they would read it and then they'd tell me stuff about it as I was learning it at practice. It was great. And then I got my first try. That was awesome. It was at a home tournament too, which was even better. And like all my friends were there. They showed up for like a portion of the day, and my parents were there, and it was just a kind of a fluke, but it was a nice fluke. I just happened to be open, and I ran it up the side, and I scored, and it was incredible. Everyone was so happy and so nice. Even the other team, they were like, "Good job," and I was like, what is happening here?"
This is like the football equivalent of a touchdown, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then we do kicks and stuff too. It is kind of similar to football. It's just less pads, and you have to tackle in certain ways. And I mean, you gotta be careful because you don't want to hit your head or anything like that. And the ball is kind of strange. I was expecting a football because it looks like it's shaped like a football, but it's a lot bigger, and there's no like lace on it. So if the grip on it has worn out, there'll be days where it'd be like raining and you couldn't catch it if it was like one of the old balls, because there's no grip, there's nothing to hold on to, and it would just like slide right out of your hands.
So is there like passing in rugby, or how does it work?
Yeah, you have to pass backwards, which is why running it up is so important. And so you'd like run it, and someone usually like kind of flanks you, and then when you're getting into some like hot water, like there's a bunch of people coming, you throw it. And then what we usually do is there's like a diagonal line of people, and you pass it down, because their defense usually tries to like stay towards the ball. That way, if there's a tackle, you have to do like when you fall down, we're getting the technical term for it right now, but you go over and you have to set up and you step over the person, and then someone comes behind you, pulls the ball out, and then you pass it down. And so the other group of people will like spread out, and so you've got to get it down your line really fast. And usually the person at the end is incredibly fast, and they just sprint it up as fast as they can, and then they dump it off to someone else right before they get tackled, and then you set it up again.
So as a football fan myself, I know that there's like a lot of strategy that goes into it and there's different offenses. So for rugby, do you find yourselves having like a certain type of an offense where like we like to, choose this style a lot or do it this way? I mean, when you were just talking about like how the grip gets worn out and then there's rain, that makes me think 1960s Navy college football where you're just running the ball and there's no passes, which is different than, today's NFL or
Yeah.
I watch a little rugby, not enough though, but
We
football
have
guy.
girls who could probably barrel through. Like they are so strong. It's incredible. Like they'll just run right through someone and this person will latch onto them and they'll just drag them behind. And it's fascinating because you'd think like, wow, that's super difficult. And it is. But once you're out there, like the adrenaline you get going when you're running and you know someone's trying to tackle you to the ground, it's a lot. And so, and you have no pads, and there is that little voice in the back of your mind going, you are going to get absolutely rocked if you get hit by this person. But it's so fun that you kind of forget about how dangerous it is. And the funny thing is too, a lot of people I've talked to said that their big injuries aren't from rugby because you're not wearing pads and there's like because there's certain ways to tackle. There's a lot of safety that goes into it that keeps you from getting crushed essentially. And so it's not as dangerous as I was thinking it was going to be.
All right. Okay. So anything else to add, or is that
Um, for rugby, I think it was difficult going from for girls hockey to rugby because I was on boys hockey, then I went to the club hockey team, and I got a ton of penalties. Like my coach started getting mad at me because I hadn't played it all for Paul Smith, so I hadn't had that like transitional period. And so for UNE, I went on the ice, I laid someone out, and I got, I think it was a minor. I think my first one was a minor. I think I got a major at some point there, but I got called for checking. I think it was cross checking and got signed to the box. And then we played a team and they were dirty. That team was awful. Like they were headhunting people. It was insane. And so I I mean, eye for an eye. I headhunted too a little bit. Well, one of my friends on the team got leveled and we thought she had a concussion. Like she was not looking great. And the girl who hit her was celebrating. I was like, look at that hit, and didn't even get a penalty for it. She was still out on the ice. I was like, well, that's not okay. So I probably should have gotten called for boarding, but I just bam right into her into the boards. We both went down. I went down with the ship on that one, but then I got a penalty for that, and my coach was not happy about that at all. So then I was like, okay, I'll dial it back, like trying to transition. I got a penalty the next game too, but then it's kind of tampered out after that. And then I went to rugby, and now I'm supposed to be hitting people, but I feel like it's also different because there's no pads. So every time I tackle someone, I feel so bad. I'm like, we'll be going down, and I'll like grab them, and we'll be falling. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And I don't think I'm the only one either. Someone tackled me, and it was a hard hit. Like everyone on the field, like we had to stop the game. I think they ended up getting a penalty for it because it was so hot. Like they hit me right here with their shoulder, and you're not allowed to do that. And we're going down, and she's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, it's okay, it's fine.
all right? Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
All right, great to have you.
happy to be here.
Yeah.